All right, so we picked on the materialist. Now let's pick on the romanticist. So what happens when we apply principle 3, which is how does the idol speak against what we see in the world? As we saw earlier, and absolutize in the lower matter portion, philosophical idealism absolutizes the upper, the mind. It claims that ultimate reality is the mental realm of ideas. Schopenhauer describes idealism by saying that it takes eternal truths that were the foundation of all previous philosophies, investigates their origins, and finds this to be in man's head. So it's all just a product of
our heads.
Yeah, your imagination, your mind,
yeah.
Whatever that might mean. But if the eternal truths really are in man's heads, then the logical conclusion is that they are not eternal, after all. They are merely human constructs, relative and changing. So, thou shalt not murder. Only for this time and place, because it's really bad for me right now.
Right? Yeah. Because it's an eternal truth that's in my head.
Yeah, right. Yeah, not your head. Yeah. I'm not even sure your head exists. Yeah. So in our day, postmodernists has drawn this conclusion, and it holds that humans have no access to an objective or an extra mental world. It's the succinct phrase of made. It's a truth is made rather than found, which I think. I mean, we might be getting away from that more into a different mode, but for all intents and purposes, that's been the predominant viewpoint of the world for at least the last 20 years, and it seems to be
probably 50 to 75 years.
I mean, within the realm of scholars, and then it leaks out into culture, and from there it gets overturned and. The next popular thing has to come about. So if let's ask the same question we posed to Enlightenment worldviews. Does postmodernism account for the fact of universal human experience? Can it be lived without contradiction in the real world? Or does it lead to an untenable dualism? That's what we should ask of all worldviews. The answer is that in practice, postmodernists do not live consistently, surprise, surprise, on the basis of their own philosophy. They do not treat all ideas as human constructs, right? That's the big thing. All ideas are human constructs. Do you live that way?
No.
Okay. Well, shoot. Instead, like every other normal person, they test their mental concepts against extra mental states of affairs.
So it's not all in the mind.
Yeah,
and they're forced to have to admit that because they have to test what they think is all in the mind against what things that are not in the mind are like.
Right.
Yeah.
I believe that reality is illusion, and when I cross the street, I don't look. I'm definitely going to look both ways because that bread truck it looks hurty. They thought the bread was in the refrigerator, but found it was on the counter or in the bread truck. That hits them. They thought their keys were on the table, but found that they were in their pocket. How? By comparing their internal thoughts with a state of affairs in the external world. They checked it. They had an ability to kind of go out and test it. And the world, for both the materialist and the romanticist, is the kind of the laboratory for testing their worldview.
It ought to be.
Right.
We should use the world as a laboratory to help them to test their worldview.
So Dallas Willard has said that I have noticed that the most emphatic of postmodernists turn coldly modern when discussing their fringe benefits or other matters that make a great difference to their practical life. If we use the metaphor that the worldview is a mental map, postmodernists keep walking off the edge of their map. It's too small to account for the full geography of where they are at. Those who deny that they have access to an external reality still look both ways before crossing the street.
Yep.
They avoid jumping off balconies. They hold their breath underwater. In other words, they know that there is an extra mental reality. It's just those pesky other ones like, a universal truths of human value and,
stuff that I don't want to practice.
Right. Yeah. The things that lend further credence to God being able to tell us what to do. In other words, they know that there is an extra mental reality to which they must adapt their behaviors. Otherwise, the consequences will be disastrous, like death, dismember it, not interacting on the same plane as their friends.
That's right.
I mean,
crashing and burning when they walk off the building.
yeah, I mean, just having a social system within themselves isn't enough. They still have a group mentality. They're not isolationists. And if they are, they don't live that long. Christianity explains why truth is not merely a human construction. The world is not a creation of our own mind. It is the handiwork of God. The human mind cannot usurp the Creator's role and function. Again, we're the creature. God is the creator. The biblical concept of creation gives logical grounds to support what humans inescapably conclude by experience from the time we are toddlers. Mark Rotary concedes that very idea of objective truth, a truth that is out there, makes sense only on the basis of the Christian worldview. It's an idea that is human independent.
Right.
The suggestion that truth is out there is a legacy of an age in which the world has seen as the creation of a being who had a language of his own, a non-human language, written into the cosmos. Yeah. So it's hearkening back to this Christian image that embraces, since the very foundations of the church, that the book is the book of God's word, which is the Bible, and the book of God's world, which is nature. Because the world itself is a kind of book, there is a message and meaning written in the cosmos itself, and it's not just I looked at the beauty of nature and there it was. Every part of the universe, every part of the universe speaks to the nature and the logic and the setup that a creature wouldn't be able to make. The universe couldn't make itself. It has to be something bigger. There has to be a creator.
Yeah. Good. Right.